Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into this article. It's the one that's promising to give us a secret phrase that supposedly works on 99.9% of women.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Now, personally, I'm a little skeptical about those numbers, but
Yeah.
I am curious about what this is really getting at.
Yeah.
What are they really trying to say here?
For sure.
It does claim to have been tested on thousands of women, so
Okay.
let's see what they found.
Yeah, what's interesting is that beyond the clickbait title, the article actually tries to tap into the psychology of attraction.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It really emphasizes that a deep emotional connection is key for women,
Mm-hmm.
but not in the way we typically think about it.
Okay, so we're not talking about
Okay.
grand romantic gestures or
Not at all.
pouring your heart out.
Yeah, no.
What kind of emotional connection are we talking about?
It's more about understanding the nuances of how women experience desire. The article argues that for women, desire itself is an emotional experience, not just a physical one.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
It challenges the common stereotype that men are more visually driven
Mm-hmm.
while women are more emotional.
Right, exactly.
So how does the source suggest men create this emotional connection?
Well, it cautions against being too direct or explicit.
Okay.
Instead, it advocates for a more subtle, almost suggestive approach.
So instead of saying, "You're so sexy,"
Right.
you might say something like, "I knew you had a naughty side."
Exactly.
Is that what we're talking about here?
That's exactly what we're talking about. The article argues that this kind of subtlety is more effective because it piques a woman's curiosity and it allows her imagination to take over.
It's like planting a seed of intrigue
Yeah.
rather than hitting someone over the head with a sledgehammer of obviousness.
Exactly. The source believes that by being less direct, you tap into a woman's desire to unravel a mystery,
Okay.
making her more invested in the interaction.
Okay, I'm starting to see where they're going with this.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to this secret phrase
Okay.
that the article keeps hyping up.
Yeah.
They claim it's, "You're totally flirting with me right now, aren't you?"
Mhm.
Do they really think one phrase can have that much power?
Well, the source's argument is that this phrase works because it's a playful accusation,
Oh.
a way of turning the tables and suggesting that she's the one pursuing you.
Oh.
It sparks curiosity and throws her off balance just a bit.
It's almost like reverse psychology.
Exactly.
Making her question her own intentions and actions.
And the article provides another example. "I can't believe you're trying to make me fall for you like this."
Oh.
Again, it's that playful suggestion that she's the one orchestrating the attraction,
Okay.
creating a lighthearted push and pull dynamic.
It definitely seems designed to get a reaction,
Yes.
to make her think, "Wait, am I flirting?
Right.
Am I trying to make him fall for me?"
Exactly.
It's like a little mental game.
It is. It's about creating a sense of playfulness and intrigue,
Mm-hmm.
which the source claims is far more effective than being overly direct or serious.
So it's not about grand gestures. It's
Right.
about these smaller,
Yes,
more subtle interactions that spark curiosity and keep her guessing.
precisely. And the article also suggests using carefully chosen questions
Okay.
to further build this tension and encourage a woman to open up.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay.
What kind of questions are we talking about?
The examples they give are things like, "Have you ever been skinny dipping?" Or, "What's your take on public displays of affection?"
Okay.
These aren't deeply personal questions,
Right.
but they're just daring enough to be intriguing.
So it's not just small talk,
Right.
but it's also not overly intrusive or inappropriate. It's
Exactly.
that sweet spot in between.
Exactly. The source argues that these types of questions can hint at a sense of adventure
Okay.
and a slightly risque side,
Hmm.
without being overtly sexual. It's about sparking her imagination and getting her to reveal a bit more of herself.
I see how that could be effective.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving her a glimpse into a different side of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
one that's a little bit mysterious and exciting.
And that brings us to a key point the source emphasizes: the power of imagination.
Okay.
They argue that for women, especially,
Okay.
desire starts in the mind.
Okay. That's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
So it's not just about what a woman sees,
Right.
but what she imagines, the story she creates in her head.
Exactly. The article draws a parallel to romance novels,
Okay.
which often build tension slowly, using suggestion and innuendo before anything explicit happens.
It's like you're creating a mental movie for her,
Yes.
and you're only giving her a few tantalizing scenes at a time.
Precisely. And the article suggests that this approach can be much more powerful than rushing to the finish line.
So it's about delaying gratification,
Yes.
building anticipation,
Yes.
and letting the attraction simmer over time.
Exactly. Now, the source also spends a good deal of time highlighting what not to do when trying to attract a woman.
Okay.
Because there are definitely some approaches that are more likely to backfire than spark a connection.
Right. What kind of things should men avoid,
Yeah.
according to this article?
Well, the article strongly advises against being too explicit
Okay.
or coming across as needy.
Okay.
It argues that these types of comments demonstrate a lack of understanding of how women experience desire.
So no cheesy pickup lines or overly aggressive advances.
No, no, no.
It's about respecting her space and individuality.
Exactly.
Oh.
And it gives specific examples of what it calls mood killers, such as, let's have sex, or you're so hot, I can't wait to take you home.
Yeah, those definitely lack finesse and show a lack of awareness of the complexities of attraction.
Exactly. The article emphasizes that confidence is key, but it's not the kind of confidence that's loud and boastful.
Right.
It's about being comfortable in your own skin, not needing constant validation, and respecting the woman's agency in the interaction.
So it's not about getting a woman. It's about creating an environment where both parties feel respected
Yes.
and where the attraction can unfold organically.
Absolutely. And the source also stresses the importance of reading the room
Okay.
and respecting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you use these techniques doesn't guarantee success.
Right.
You still need to be aware of the other person's signals and respond accordingly.
So it's not just about what you say.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you say it
Yes.
and how you make a woman feel in the process.
Precisely. Now, while this article provides some interesting food for thought,
Okay.
it's important to remember that it's just one perspective.
Sure.
And there's always more to the story.
Right. It raises some interesting points.
Yeah.
But we want to see if those points hold up when we take a deeper dive into the science of attraction.
Exactly. And that's where our exploration gets even more fascinating.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
But first, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be delving into the fascinating world of attraction research, separating fact from fiction, and uncovering what science has to say about this age-old mystery. Stay tuned.
Okay, sounds good. Now, the source we've been discussing makes a lot of claims about how attraction works, but are those claims backed up by science? Let's explore some of the research on attraction and see if we can separate fact from fiction.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The article we were just discussing talked a lot about creating a sense of mystery and intrigue.
Yeah.
Is there any scientific basis for that idea?
Actually, there is. Research has shown that novelty and unpredictability can be very attractive. When we encounter something new or unexpected, it triggers the release of dopamine in our brains, which is associated with pleasure and reward.
So that feeling of excitement and intrigue we get when we meet someone new,
Right.
that could be our brains rewarding us for seeking out new experiences.
Exactly. And this ties into the idea of mystery and keeping someone guessing.
Okay.
When we don't have all the information about someone,
It creates a sort of knowledge gap that we're naturally driven to fill.
it's like our brains are saying, hey, there's something interesting here. I need to learn more.
Exactly.
So that might explain why the source's suggestion of using playful accusations or intriguing questions could be effective.
Right.
It keeps the other person engaged and wanting to know more about you.
Precisely. Now, another area where the source's claims align with scientific research is the importance of emotional connection.
Okay.
Studies have shown that people are more likely to be attracted to those who they feel understand and validate their emotions.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
We all want to feel seen and heard,
right.
especially in romantic relationships.
Exactly. And this goes beyond just sharing our feelings. It's also about being able to pick up on the other person's emotional cues
Okay.
and respond in a way that shows empathy and understanding.
So it's not just about talking about your feelings.
Right.
It's about being attuned to the other person's emotional state.
Yeah. And creating a sense of shared understanding.
That's a great way to put it. And this is where emotional intelligence comes in,
Okay.
which we touched on earlier. The ability to understand and manage our own emotions
Yeah.
and to be sensitive to the emotions of others is a crucial factor in attraction and relationship success.
It sounds like the article we were discussing, while focusing on techniques, might be indirectly tapping into these deeper emotional needs and dynamics.
That's a valid point. And it highlights the importance of not just relying on surface-level tactics,
Okay.
but also cultivating those deeper qualities that foster genuine connection.
Okay, so we've talked about novelty, mystery, and emotional connection.
Yeah.
What about physical attraction? The article seems to downplay the importance of looks, but surely physical appearance plays some role, right?
Of course, physical attraction is definitely part of the equation.
Okay.
And science has a lot to say about what we find attractive in others.
Like what?
For example, research has shown that facial symmetry is a universal marker of beauty.
Facial symmetry. So having a balanced face
Yes.
makes you more attractive. Why is that?
Well, there are a few theories.
Okay.
One suggests that symmetry might be an indicator of good health and strong genes.
So on a subconscious level, we might be drawn to symmetrical faces because they signal that someone is a good potential mate.
Exactly. It's like an evolutionary whisper telling us, this person has good genes.
Wow.
They'd likely produce healthy offspring.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
So even physical attraction isn't just about arbitrary preferences.
right.
There could be deeper biological factors at play.
Absolutely. And another interesting finding is that we tend to be attracted to people who have similar facial features to our own.
Wait, really? Why would we be attracted to people who look like us?
Well, one theory is that it signals familiarity and a sense of kinship.
So on some level, we might be subconsciously drawn to people who remind us of ourselves
Yes.
or our family member.
That's the idea. It's like our brains are saying, hey, this person feels familiar.
Uh-huh.
They're probably safe and trustworthy.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that attraction is so much more complex than we often give it credit for.
It really is. And speaking of complexity, let's delve into the fascinating world of pheromones.
Okay.
You might have heard the claim that these chemical signals play a role in attraction,
Yeah.
but what does the science say?
Yeah, that's always been a bit of a mystery to me.
Right.
Are we really sending out these invisible love potions?
Well, research on human pheromones is still somewhat controversial,
Okay.
and the science isn't entirely clear-cut.
Right.
While there is evidence suggesting that certain bodily odors can influence attraction,
Okay.
the mechanisms are complex and not fully understood.
So it's not like a magic potion that makes someone fall head over heels in love.
Right.
But there might be subtle chemical cues that we're picking up on without even realizing it.
Exactly. Think of it as another layer of communication happening beneath the surface.
Okay.
Some studies suggest that we might be able to subconsciously detect information about another person's immune system through their scent.
That's wild. So we might be attracted to people whose immune systems complement our own,
Yes,
potentially leading to healthier offspring.
that's one of the theories. It's a fascinating area of research.
Yeah.
But there's still much we don't know.
It's amazing how much is happening beneath the surface when it comes to attraction. We've got dopamine, facial symmetry, pheromones.
Right.
It's like our brains and bodies are working overtime to guide us toward potential partners.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the role of psychology and social factors.
Hmm.
Our past experiences, cultural norms, and
Right.
personal preferences all play a role in shaping who we find attractive and how we approach relationships.
So it's not just about biology and chemistry.
Right.
It's about the whole tapestry of our individual lives and experiences.
Precisely. And this is where I think we can start to move beyond the somewhat simplistic view of attraction presented in the source and embrace a more holistic and nuanced understanding.
I'm all for that. I'm already feeling like I've learned so much more about attraction than I ever expected.
And we're not done yet. In the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore some alternative perspectives on attraction, challenging some of the assumptions we've discussed, and considering a more inclusive and expansive view of human connection.
This is getting really interesting.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll take a quick break.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. We've explored the source's claims and we've delved into some fascinating science.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious to hear about those alternative perspectives you mentioned.
You know, it's important to acknowledge that the source we've been discussing,
Okay.
while intriguing, does make some assumptions that might not apply to everyone.
Right. It seems to focus mainly on a very specific dynamic between men and women,
Exactly.
assuming a pretty traditional approach to dating.
And while that might resonate with some people, it's crucial to recognize that attraction and relationships exist across a spectrum of sexual orientations and gender identities.
So the source's advice, while potentially helpful in certain contexts, might not be universally applicable.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
For example, the emphasis on men taking the lead and women responding might not reflect the dynamics of same-sex relationships or relationships where gender roles are more fluid.
It makes you realize how important it is to consider a variety of perspectives when
Yeah.
we talk about something as complex as attraction.
Absolutely. And it's not just about sexual orientation or gender roles,
Yeah.
the source also focuses primarily on creating initial attraction. But it doesn't address the factors that contribute to long-term relationship success.
Right, those playful accusations and intriguing questions might be great for a first date.
Yeah,
But what about building a lasting connection?
exactly. Things like shared values, interests, and intellectual compatibility become increasingly important as a relationship develops.
So while that initial spark of attraction might be what gets you in the door,
Yeah,
it's the deeper connection and shared experiences that really keep the relationship going.
precisely. And this is where I think it's important to be mindful of the ethical implications of some of the techniques the source suggests.
What do you mean?
Well, the emphasis on manipulation and keeping someone guessing could potentially create an imbalance of power in a relationship.
Right, while a little mystery can be fun,
Yeah.
there's a fine line between being intriguing and being dishonest or emotionally unavailable.
Exactly. And building a healthy relationship requires trust, vulnerability, and open communication,
Hmm.
not just clever tactics.
So it's important to be aware of our intentions and to make sure we're not using these techniques to manipulate or control others.
Absolutely. And I think this brings us to a really important point: the value of authenticity and attraction.
Okay.
While those techniques might work in some cases,
Yeah.
ultimately, I believe people are most drawn to those who are genuine and true to themselves.
So it's not about trying to be someone you're not
Right.
or putting on an act.
No.
It's about letting your true personality shine through.
Exactly. And that means being comfortable with your strengths and weaknesses, being open about your feelings, and being willing to let someone see the real you.
It sounds like true connection comes from a place of self-acceptance
Yes.
and a willingness to share that authentic self with another person.
Beautifully said. And when we approach attraction from that place of authenticity, we're more likely to attract people who appreciate us for who we truly are.
That's a really empowering message.
Yeah.
It means that we don't have to rely on tricks or manipulation.
Right.
We can simply focus on being our best selves and trust that the right people will be drawn to us.
Exactly. And I think that's a great takeaway from our deep dive.
Yeah.
While the source we explored offered some interesting insights, it's important to remember that attraction is a complex and multifaceted experience. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and the most fulfilling connections are those built on authenticity, respect, and a genuine desire to connect on a deeper level.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
We started with this article promising a secret phrase and ended up exploring everything from evolutionary biology to emotional intelligence.
It's amazing how one question can lead to so much discovery.
It really is. So to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Yeah.
Remember, attraction is a journey, not a destination. And the most important thing is to be true to yourself and to approach connections with an open heart and mind.
And until next time, happy deep diving.